while we have some folks coming in, I am very happy to bring back to Naturally New York's virtual sessions Laura Homan, who is the co-founder and head of marketing at Broadleaf Digital. Has been a continuous supporting partner of Naturally New York and truly grateful for all that they have done to support our organization and for giving incredible insights like this for today's session. So without further ado, Laura, please take it away.
Thank you. Hey everyone. Also Corpse Reviver, I see you in there. Love that drink. Super excited about today's webinar. So as you guys know, you signed up for it. It's all about kind of talking Amazon holiday Q4 prep and how to make sure you make the most out of it. I'm gonna just skip the overview because we all know why we're here. But today's agenda, I'm actually gonna be going month by month. So as we lead up to the holidays, prep starts in August, actually. So there's already quite a bit that we need to start working on in August, and then September, October, November, December. So I've kind of put together a monthly to-do list for you guys, so that you know exactly what you need to be focusing on, where you need to be at, so that you are like as optimized and prepared by the time November and December hits. So let's just go ahead and jump in. So for August, we really want to just get started by building the foundation. And so we really need to start first with forecasting. Amazon inventory is incredibly tricky and challenging because Amazon has limited inventory capacity. So we need to first put together our forecast to have an idea of how much inventory we need to send. But then you also really want to start by actually checking your inventory capacity. Can you even send in the inventory that you want? And what I've been seeing quite often is unfortunately you cannot. Unfortunately, there's limits and you can't send in every single SKU with all of the inventory that you want. So a really big piece in August is starting to think about what are your hero SKUs going to be that you really want to focus on for the holidays. So there's an 80-20 rule. I'm sure we've all heard it, but kind of allocating 80% of your inventory space for your top 20% performing SKUs. To make sure that, you know, the SKUs that are going to have the best margins and have generally the best engagement and conversion are the ones that you can really keep in stock. The other remaining 20% of your inventory space you can keep for testing out certain SKUs. But for the holidays for Q4, it's really, you want to kind of slim down everything that's not performing and focus strictly on the SKUs that are performing. You also want to start doing some research when it comes to August. So right now, you should start doing all of the research for, you know, gift-oriented stocking stuffers, seasonal type keywords that you want to eventually add in, which I will get to in just a second. And my biggest tip for August is going to be to clean out all of your slow movers. So if you have to liquidate, it hurts, but now is definitely the time to do it because, again, like I said, your inventory capacity is only going to decrease as we get closer to the holidays. And so we want to really like clean up your catalog right now. So if there's anything suppressed or inactive, figure that out now. If there's anything that's been taking up a whole lot of your inventory space but isn't really moving, either discount it or liquidate it or do something because we need to move all of that out to make room for your top sellers. So based on that and what I was just kind of saying about prepping your listings, if you've been to one of my webinars in the past, the slide probably looks familiar, but I have added in some holiday specific tasks as well. So some of these are evergreen, but then quite a few of these are going to be holiday focused. So I always like to start with your visual assets, right? If your images are not clear, clean, conversion focused, then you're already losing out on a ton of sales. So as a general rule, outside of the holidays even, we want 7 images and a video. There are so many AI video creator tools now that you can use. There's some in-house on Amazon, Canva. So just making sure that your images are fully set up. But now in August is definitely the time to start working with your designers, if you have photographers or starting to look for photographers, where you want to start building out your holiday image set design. So not everything has to have like a bow or a wrapped present on it, but definitely with a little bit of a focus. Maybe you have some images that are gift giving focused, or if you have a food item, maybe you have something with, you know, like a holiday party gathering grazing board. Corpse Survivor, maybe you have like a holiday mocktail recipe card that you want to add in. So there's definitely like several images that you can start to play with, and you want to make sure you have so that your listing images feel, holiday focused. And then the same thing goes for your keyword. So Amazon is a search platform first, which means you need to have a really good balance of having SEO, keyword rich copy that still reads really well for people shopping. So start thinking about all of these keywords as well. Start, putting together your holiday listing. So holiday gifts for women, stocking stuffers. A note on your holiday keywords is that we don't want to stay super broad. So you want to be as specific as you can. Again, like the more long tail, the better on some of these holiday keywords, because if you just say holiday gift, that is broad, you're fighting with everybody for that keyword. But we definitely want to, shift our copy a little bit, shift our images a little bit. And then the last thing to start prepping and working on is your brand story, A+ content, and storefront. Now, again, for evergreen, like you just always want to have these in general, but for the holidays, you can create specific holiday versions that turn on for the storefront, for instance, let's say mid-October, turns off at the end of December. Same with your content and brand story. We want to have a little bit of a switch over to more gift giving, entertaining, hosting, winter focused content, so that your listing, it just gets a much better chance to perform both with the algorithm and also with shoppers in general. All right, so once you've kind of started this research in September, started looking at your inventory, figured out what you really want to focus on, September is all about locking everything in. So, and the reason we're having this webinar for November, December, in August is because by mid-September you have to ship out your product to Amazon, which sounds so early, but it is the only way you can essentially guarantee that you will be in stock both for the Prime deal in the fall. So Prime, like another Prime Day, is happening in early October, most likely. They haven't announced the dates yet. And then also leading into Black Friday, Cyber Monday period. So you really want to make sure you're sending everything in mid-September, which is why we're taking August now to plan our inventory and to get everything prepped. There are also certain lightning deals. Again, if you're participating in the October Fall Prime Day that are going to be due at the end of this month, actually. But if we're talking Black Friday, those are going to be due on October 7th. So for September, you want to lock in all of the promos that you're going to be running. So Lightning and Best Deals are going to be the ones that get the most attention from Amazon shoppers. They generally have a higher cost of entry, but you get the badge, you get really great placement. And shoppers are like looking for these lightning deals and these best deals. But you have to get approved for them. So they're not available for everybody. So that's why we want to start planning ahead of time so that you know if you're going to have best deal access. Once you kind of figure out what deals am I running, you want to layer in coupons as well. And so all of this we want to do in September, so that way we can also prep off platform as well. But, a few areas to kind of layer in some coupons and to set budgets for is in October, we have the Fall Prime event, and then we also have the early holiday shoppers. So in October, you get the kind of ahead of the curve, like the people who are doing all of their holiday shopping early and they're done by the time November hits. I wish I could be that productive, but I'm a procrastinator. But in October, you get these really high intent shoppers, usually starting. So adding in some couponing or some slash through pricing. And then November, we have the Turkey 5, which is starting on Thanksgiving all the way through December 1st. So that is going to be huge, huge shopping. Of course, everybody expects Black Friday sales. So you see an incredible amount of traffic on Amazon. I would argue actually more than Prime Day. Prime Day is usually pretty consolidated, but here you have November 28th kind of starting with all of these deals, running all the way through December, which I have here. So for December, really, it's the whole month. You kind of get middle of December where you get those last minute shoppers where there's a little bit more momentum again. But overall, like you want to layer in some coupons throughout this whole entire quarter so that you can be there for all of the different types of shoppers, the early birds, the ones looking for deals during Black Friday, the procrastinators during December. And once you set all of that up, You want to use September now to also start creating your social media and email marketing plans. Because on Amazon, the more you can drive off platform traffic to Amazon, the better your performance will be. Not only because of the influx of purchases, but also because it helps your sales ranking. So for, all the effort that you're putting into Amazon, if you are going to be offering some deals, highly recommend bringing in some traffic through email or social or any way that you can so that it's not just isolated to Amazon. Um, and then last little thing you really want to make sure to get started in September is setting up your sponsored display retargeting campaigns because we want to start to become a little bit more relevant again to shoppers before peak season. So when we hit, peak holiday season, cost per clicks are going up, everybody's running advertising campaigns. So anything you can do early on to kind of start getting yourself to show up, getting your name to show up for people will help you in late October, November, and December. All right, so I wanted to do a little focus here also for September prep as far as advertising campaigns. So the reason we're talking September already for holiday campaigns is because we want to start ramping up spend a little bit by late September. Let's say you have a holiday campaign set for, starting end of October and that's when you start it, that's when the traffic starts. It can take these campaigns quite a bit of time, sometimes several weeks to kind of get flowing, to really start spending the daily budget that you set up for it. So that's why late September, we want to start warming them up and we want to start actually increasing our spend little by little. And then just so we all have a clear idea of where to spend and what is important, we have 3 types of campaigns on Amazon. We have our sponsored product ads for conversion. That's going to be, where's my mouse? These down here. That is, oops. There we go. This is a sponsored product campaign. This should be about like 80% of your spend, more even if you find that it converts really well. We have a sponsored brand campaign, which we see at the top of pages. And I really love a sponsored brand, especially during the holidays, because you can add a little bit of a headline. So let's say you do have something that is holiday focused, maybe a spice blend that is for a holiday style meal or drink, or whatever it might be, any sort of a holiday flavor. You can really call that out in your sponsored brand campaigns. And then your last one is a sponsored display, and that's the one that we use for retargeting, which I had just mentioned we really want to make sure we're already doing, to make sure we're already introducing people to our brand if we haven't already, and we're already showing up for people who might have seen us before but potentially forgot about us. Next, we want to, and this is an evergreen piece right here. Always defend your brand. I know it sucks to have to bid and pay money on your own brand name because people are potentially already looking for you, but if you don't, other people will bid against you. So just a reminder here that even if you have a strong brand awareness, definitely continue defending your brand and bidding on your own branded terms and ASINs. And now for the holidays, we want to be really targeted, right? So we already have slimmed down our catalog. We're making space for our top sellers. So for your advertising also, I would really only focus on your core top performing ASINs. The holidays is not the time to like test out little things here. You're like, oh, this is usually a slow mover. Maybe we can move it. I love that, but the holidays should really just be top performing ASINs, being as focused as possible. And then you want to start planning out some campaigns for seasonal keywords. Again, I like this kind of a campaign, especially as a sponsored brand campaign, but these are some examples: unique stocking stuffers for the holidays, gifts for her under 50, all sorts of things that you can think of. You guys all know your brand best, but you want to start doing some of this like holiday keyword targeting as well, because search behavior completely changes when we get into the holidays. So people are now, instead of searching for an exact item, are searching for categories or gift ideas. So you want to make sure you are targeting that. You've already done the research for your listing itself on some holiday keywords that you want to add in. So now we're also adding that into our advertising focus. And then my tip down here is kind of what I had already mentioned, but you want to start warming up your advertising campaigns early because things get pretty dang expensive in November and December. So the more time you have to optimize and get your campaigns rolling, the better they will perform. in late Q4. So even though you have a higher cost per click in November, you at least have better conversion, which kind of makes it all worth it. All right, so October, we're kind of getting to the place now where things are happening, traffic is picking up. So there's a few things that we want to keep working on in October before it's kind of just like buckle in and go for November and December. The biggest one is prepping some fulfilled by merchant backup for your key SKUs. So, like I had kind of mentioned, inventory can get really tricky at Amazon because they start to really limit your capacity. And so, having an FBM backup is a really smart and safe idea in case, let's say, you are just not able to send in enough inventory and sales are going well in November. Like you don't want to run out of stock late December or mid-December, right? That would really mess up the flow of your holiday traffic. So having a fulfilled by merchant backup is key. However, you want to use October to really make sure that whoever will be your fulfillment team, let's say it's a 3PL or it's in-house, that they are ready to fulfill. So you want to take October to create these duplicate ASINs as your FBM backups and working with your fulfillment team to make sure that they are actually ready to fulfill when the time comes. There's a good chance that maybe orders will never even come through FBM, that you are able to sustain all of your sales through FBA products. That is obviously ideal, but this is very much a fail-safe that we always want to have ready if needed. And you don't want to have to turn this on like in the middle of Black Friday rush and your 3PL has no idea what's going on because they're busy too, or your own production team is busy. So that's why we want to really start focusing on this early October to make sure that we have that set in place. So then starting October 2, we want to start doing like weekly performance PPC checks where we start shedding keywords that are not performing. We start shedding maybe ASINs that are not performing, and we're really starting to allocate spend just to our winners. October is also a great time to set up some budget rules. So again, the last thing you want happening is running out of stock or your ad campaigns running out of spend. So if you want to set up some budget rules for the really high traffic times like the Turkey 5, Black Friday through Cyber Monday, October is the time to start optimizing all of that and setting up all of these rules. That way, once you're in the peak flow of holidays, you're not scrambling trying to, keep up with everything. October, we also want to switch over all of our listings now to our holiday optimized listings. So that is seasonal titles, bullet points, back-end keywords. We have our seasonal storefront that we switch over to, our images. We want to do this in October for something that I will touch on the November slide, but we don't want to, upload something new in November and then have our listing go down. So we really want to do any of these major updates to our listings October to make sure that it is safe and ready to go for November. October is also a great time to start testing out some bundles. So let's say you have a gift bundle where it's like, just something that works really well together, some sort of an intro bundle, or you can start testing out some promos like buy one, get one of these 20% off. So using October, because you're already starting to see an increase in traffic, you're already going to start seeing an increase in conversion. So use October to start testing out what works. So that way when November hits, you have everything already figured out and you're not learning as you go in November. And then tip here is that early shoppers are planners. So, you definitely want to start targeting with some gift specific language starting in October for all of the people who are on it and already have their holiday lists and are already shopping. All right, so November. November is definitely just like buckle up and hold on. November and December both. So the times that you really need to know about November is the Turkey 5. I've already mentioned this one, but essentially starts Thanksgiving Day and then doesn't stop until we get to the end of the year. But the Turkey 5 specifically is until Cyber Monday. We want to start increasing our daily budgets to keep campaigns active here, because especially during the Turkey 5, during the high traffic days. So I'm talking increase like 40 to 60%. And if you have really high converting campaigns, increase it more, right? Like the more sales you're getting, the better, as long as you have the inventory to support it. You also, once we hit late November, you want to be doing daily buy box checks to make sure that your pricing is good, that you have your inventory still. You don't want to lose your buy box during peak season because then you completely miss out on all possible sales. So you really want to be doing daily monitoring just to make sure that everything is going well. And then based on all of the data, like from our warmed up campaigns, all of the testing that we've been doing September, October, now we're really truly shifting our spend. Top converting keywords, top performing ASINs, like that is where we're putting everything. Again, November, December is not the time to test out certain things, to try to revamp a slow mover, right? Like now we're truly just focusing on what works. And then customer service scaling. So November, you're going to start seeing, some more returns come in. You might start seeing some messages come in of people asking questions, preparing to purchase for the holidays. So you want to make sure that you have eyes on your inbox on Seller Central to make sure that customer service, you're able to answer quickly. You're hopefully able to, sway some people to buy if they have questions that you're able to answer. And then my huge, big, giant tip, like I had already mentioned, is we want to completely avoid any major listing edits in November. Amazon is such a sensitive system that if you trigger a suppression when peak traffic hits, it's not good. So when Amazon hits these major sale periods, Prime Day, the holidays, they pull back all of their services to really only be focused on what is most needed, which in this case is going to be fulfillment and customer service to shoppers, not sellers. So do not get your listing suppressed in November. Do all of this editing early on in October so that you know you are ready to go for November. And then last month is December. So again, its peak shopping period is like 15th through the 24th, but we really see tons of traffic through the whole month of December. So December is all about just like finishing strong. You have your last minute shoppers that are procrastinating, and you can target those with sponsored brands. You can do clearance deals, like steep promos, if you really just want to move out any lingering inventory that you had stocked up for the holidays. Some sponsored brand campaign ideas would be something like last minute stocking stuffers for the family or last minute gifts for her, anything like that. And you want to start thinking about the return process. So you will absolutely see a spike in returns December and January. That is unfortunately a given, but you want to be able to manage that as well as possible. So start thinking about, do you want to do returns back to you? Do you want to dispose the product? If there's a return, can it get restocked? So make sure that you have all of this in place already, because you're going to start seeing return requests coming in. And then last is really in December, because there's not a whole lot you can be doing on Amazon beyond just monitoring and checking, is use that time where there's not a whole lot you can be doing to prepare your inventory restock for early January. 3PLs are going to be incredibly busy with fulfillment. So, there's probably no orders going out anyways in December, but making sure you can at least get in your orders to put together your small parcel or your LTL shipments into Amazon early January will just help get you ahead of that curve when everybody is trying to restock. And you can use everything that you've been learning already through the holidays now to start some Q1 2026 planning. So tip here is definitely start gathering some ideas for spring promotions before the year ends while insights are still fresh. Something I didn't put on here, but I just also want to add in as a really great tip, continue running and keep your retargeting campaigns warm. Maybe you didn't convert somebody to buy for a gift type of a focus, but potentially they really liked it for themselves. So continue doing retargeting throughout this. And you can actually even run some retargeting promotions and discounts as well as a brand tailored promotion through January to try to win back some of these people who checked you out during the holidays, but for whatever reason they decided not to purchase. All right, so I put together a little month by month quick to-do list. If everybody wants to screenshot or write this down, this is your very quick starting this month through the end of the year, what you need to be doing, the big pieces of what you need to be doing. So August, like I said, we want to forecast inventory. We want to clear out any slow moving SKUs. It really has to be August. And you want to start doing some listing prep, like look at your listings, see what can be fixed, start the photo shoot process, the design process. September, you're sending an inventory, you're scheduling your deals, and you're planning your off-platform support. October, you're going to switch to your seasonal listings, you're ramping up your ads, and you're going to start prepping FBM listings. Those are the fulfilled by merchant, just in case. And then November and December is really daily monitoring of your buy box, your spend, your PPC campaign performance. And then in December, you're adding in managing returns and planning for Q1. So as you can see, like it's pretty straightforward. And if you start in August, then everything is going to be okay. You have everything lined up and prepared already. But that is why we're having this call so early because, having a good December truly starts with starting and, optimizing in August. All right. So I flew through that. I know that there's a lot of, a lot within all of those slides that could have more information. But we would be here for 3 days. So I would love to know any Q&A if anybody has any questions. Or like if you want to share some challenges that you've had in past holiday seasons. But yeah, I just kind of want to open it up to everybody else now.
You are welcome to unmute yourself and ask directly or drop it in the chat. Laura is very thorough, but I feel like there's definitely some questions that are top of mind.
You got it, Erin.
Anyone doing some from promotions? Want to share some current plans? Secrets?
It always makes me nervous when I'm an attendee on a webinar to unmute. I almost never do.
In with a question, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So we're actually just getting started on Amazon, so amazing timing to be doing it right before
Totally.
Q4, which is a little chaotic. But I guess just curious, any additional insights or thoughts you would have for somebody who's just ramping up, just getting started, to have as minimal stumbles as possible in this first season?
Yeah, so the biggest thing that I would say is start to try to get in as many reviews as possible. Because if you're like hitting the holidays with only like 2 reviews, that's really hard to start seeing conversion. So I would just, I mean, have you guys already done the Vine review program by chance?
No, we haven't.
Okay. Yeah. So things like that, like getting in your inventory ASAP. And if you haven't even had your first inbound, I would kind of project high. So I would project through the end of the year as long as your expiration dates are okay with that.
Yep.
Because you might as well just get it all over there for the holidays. And then you want to start advertising immediately and start bringing in reviews as quickly as possible. So sometimes, like if you're starting at the beginning of the year and you can kind of like test some things, go slow, like spend a little bit, see what's working. But at this point, I would kind of just say like, just go. So plan to start spending on advertising campaigns, plan to submit your products into the Vine review program. Plan to reach out to as many friends and family as you have possible that would be willing to purchase and leave a review, just like as much as you can do to immediately jumpstart your sales ranking and your conversions as possible.
Great. Thank you.
Laura, Wendy had a question. What are you seeing as average spend as a percent of revenue?
Yeah, so it's a really good question, Wendy, and it very much depends on what stage you're at on Amazon. If you are a brand new seller versus if you're pretty seasoned, you have really good brand awareness. So there's a metric called TACoS on Amazon, which is total advertising cost of sale. So what you're doing is dividing your ad spend by your total sales, and that gets you a percentage. If your TACoS are like 15 to 20%, that's usually what I see. So that's kind of like that average spend versus percentage of revenue. Whereas if you want to be a little bit more aggressive, or let's say you have to really push and build your brand, that percentage is going to be much higher. So Wendy, if you're like just getting started on Amazon, you don't really have much of presence in grocery or social or anything else, your TACoS is going to be much higher, potentially closer to like 25%. But let's say you have really good brand awareness, really great brand presence outside of Amazon. Let's say you're already starting to win some of your crucial categories, then that percentage is going to be much lower. So I know that's kind of a non-answer, but it very much depends on where you're at with your brand.
We'll have some time. Would anyone else like to ask a question? Or just share your thoughts?
Yeah. I'm going to switch here as well. So I'm very much like a processor. So usually for me, I will attend a webinar and then start like the wheels start going, and that's when the questions start popping up. So please reach out to me. Email is best. LinkedIn, I try to avoid, which is not great, but please email me. And even if it's just a quick question, I am happy to help. If we want to jump on a quick call, I always love learning about brands and where you guys are at and what you're testing out. So definitely, slide into the inbox if you'd like.
Then we'll follow up with your contact information into the registrants
Perfect.
as well. Mhm.
Awesome.
But I have to take PTO tomorrow, so I'm really gonna get this out on Friday. just in disclosure.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you again, Laura, for everything, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. I'm trying to think what would be a key moment post holiday that we should be talking, probably well in advance of July, right?
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, it's something to start thinking ahead of is Prime Day, which again, crazy because that kind of just happened. But yeah, I think we should probably plan to connect well before Prime so that we can do another Prime prep.
We're looking forward to it.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you
Well,
so much,
thank you,
Adrienne.
everyone. Of course,
Yeah.
my pleasure.
Bye,
Thank
y'all.
you. Bye.